A little over 20 years ago, Nissan introduced a new flagship body-on-frame three-row SUV to America called the Pathfinder Armada. Now, this vehicle was a big deal for Nissan because it had so much capability and practicality in the body-on-frame SUV space, and the company followed it up with an all-new second generation back in 2017. However, it was kind of a bittersweet moment here in America because while it was new for the States, technically we already saw that vehicle in other markets known as the Patrol since 2010. Now, thankfully for 2025, Nissan is looking to make things right with the introduction of this vehicle. This is the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. It's built off of an all-new frame. It has brand new sheet metal, an all-new interior, an all-new powertrain under the hood, and it finally gets all the tech that you expect in today's modern vehicle. So today we're actually out here in beautiful Park City, Utah to see the new Armada in person. So now that we're finally seeing this new truck in the sheet metal, let's go ahead and take a first look. So we've been waiting a long time for Nissan to finally introduce an all-new version of the Armada. So I have to say, first time seeing this vehicle in person. We'll talk about the looks in just a moment. Let me first talk about what's going on underneath the hood. Now, if you guys have seen my review on the all-new QX80, you're gonna find an all-new powertrain underneath here that should be pretty familiar. Now, this is a variation of the company's signature VQ engine family. It's a 3.5-liter twin turbocharged direct injection turbocharged engine that delivers up to 425 horsepower and 513 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you guys are keeping score compared to the Infiniti, this actually makes around 25 less horsepower, and that's because Nissan says they've tuned this engine to run on regular grade fuel versus premium in the Infiniti. It all goes out through a 9-speed automatic transmission, and you can take your pick between either rear-wheel drive or for a little bit extra money, you can also get the company's full-time all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive system with a low-range transfer case. That's one of the big differences between the Infiniti and the Nissan is you can get this vehicle with a locking rear diff in the Pro 4X trim and an actual four-wheel drive system. The company wasn't ready to talk about fuel economy numbers just yet, but we do know that the Infiniti version gets around 16 in the city, 19 on the highway. I expect this model to get something similar. It has roughly a 24-gallon fuel tank, which again is pretty similar in terms of specs to the Infiniti. The company did, however, talk about the towing capability, and this vehicle will tow a maximum of 8,500 pounds, which is actually the same as the previous generation. It's among an average number for the segment, but still very much usable. We don't have the final curb weight figures just yet, but I'd estimate this car is probably going to be around 6,000 pounds, which is the same as, of course, as its platform mate, the Infiniti QX80. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the all-new exterior styling. Now, Nissan has been teasing this vehicle for a few weeks now, and we've known that an all-new version was coming because they are also unveiling this vehicle as the Nissan Patrol in other markets. The Armada, again, used to have some very big differences between the Patrol and the US version, but now Nissan says that they've basically made the two vehicles the same. You can see this particular one that I'm showing you here is the Platinum Reserve, painted in this really interesting and pearly red exterior color. You can see the grille is massive. It's got a variation of Nissan's new V-Motion grille. There's a lot of gloss black here. There's some chrome accents. There's the Nissan logo here, the newer Nissan logo with the white outline. You can see the headlights are full LED on all the trims. Nissan will offer this in 6 different trims from the base SV all the way up to this Platinum Reserve. You can see you have an LED turn signal, LED daytime running light, LED low and high beams, LED fog lights. The Platinum Reserve also includes a unique front fascia with additional chrome and satin silver accents, along with the front arrow or the front splitter right here, which has kind of like an aerodynamic lip down there to improve with the fuel economy. We'll show you guys a Pro 4X, which is new this year, the more off-road oriented version later in the video. But as you can see, moving around the side profile, I really like what Nissan has done with the styling. It's got that boxy, truckish design theme that people really love in this segment. And while the company wasn't ready to talk about actual dimensional changes, we can basically talk about how, the specs of this should be similar to the QX80. So the Infiniti version is around 211 inches long. It's around 3 inches longer versus the previous generation. It's also around 3 inches wider, supposedly, because this vehicle is around 83 inches wide. It has a 121-inch long wheelbase. And you can see when you guys go for the Platinum Reserve, you get these massive 22-inch wheels. They actually have a really interesting multiple spoke design with kind of like a gray metallic finish to them. You also have the new Nissan logo. It's riding on a 275 width tire. Again, these are Bridgestone all-season tire. If you guys want the Pro 4X, we'll show you guys that later on. It'll have a more off-road capable all-terrain tire. And you can see, I really like the full paint finish that the company gives you on this trim. You also have some chrome along here, some functional air vents or openings there to allow, it looks like, for heat to kind of pass through from the engine. You can see the two-tone roof is something that Nissan's been doing on a lot of models. I really like the way it looks here with the red exterior color, the black mirrors. You also have a panoramic sunroof, which is available for the first time standard on the Platinum trims and up, which again is going to let more light into the vehicle and give you, again, better visibility throughout. You can see there, it's got that signature floating roof design here with Armada kind of spelled on the D pillar, which is a nice little touch. And I also really like the way the rear looks. It's got kind of a nice little upright design to it. The Platinum and Pro 4X trims will have a full LED light bar. That's something you don't get on the baser trims. You can see the taillights kind of remind me a little bit of like a Chevrolet Suburban, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. I think it's a really attractive looking design. I also really appreciate how the rear bumper doesn't protrude out as much as it did in the previous generation. And then behind here, you'll find an actual tow hitch. That's a little cover for it. Remember, this vehicle will tow a maximum of 8,500 pounds. Now, in terms of the cargo area, you can see a power liftgate's going to be included if you guys go for the SL trims and up. This model will have a foot-activated hands-free power liftgate. And while we don't have final cargo figures just yet, this should be pretty similar to the Infiniti counterpart, which that vehicle offers around 22 cubic feet of space. You can see it offers a ton of space back here. Actually, it's almost twice the space of its nearest competitor, the Toyota Sequoia, and that's because it still has an independent suspension. You can also get it with an adaptive air suspension, which can raise and lower the vehicle up to 4.1 inches. You can see because it's not a hybrid, you don't have any battery packs back here raising the floor. So there's a nice little underfloor storage area here, which is pretty nice. If you want, you can also fold down the third row seat here, which you can do so at the push of a button. I don't have the cargo figure of that with the third row seat folded, but the maximum amount of cargo with all the seats folded, according to Infiniti, is a little over 100 cubic feet. So that figure is definitely among the best in the segment. Remember, Nissan does not offer an extended length version, but I think for those of you who are looking in this particular space, you're gonna find plenty of room in the backseat of the new Armada, especially if you guys need to carry people and all their stuff. Now moving on to the interior of the all-new 2025 Armada. The first thing I want to show you guys, however, is the key fob. You can see, just like other newer Nissan products, the company has a new key fob available. This is the standard intelligent access key, which has your usual buttons here for lock, unlock, power liftgate, and panic, and there's also a remote start function. I really like the fact that Nissan kept the key essentially the same size as the older key, but it has a slightly new look to it. You can see approaching the vehicle, the door handles are pretty traditional as opposed to the pop-out style door handles on the Infiniti. You can see if you lock the doors, that will power fold the mirrors, and then if you want to unlock the doors, you just touch that button again. Now, this particular color combination on this model here is really nice. The red exterior has kind of like a chestnut with rye two-tone interior. This is the upgraded premium leather that you get with the platinum trim. The seats themselves, they adjust in 12 different ways for both the driver and the front passenger. However, even if you guys look for the base SV, it'll have a standard leatherette seat with an 8-way power and a 4-way power for the passenger seat. It goes up to a 10-way power and an 8-way power when you guys step it up to the SL and the Pro 4X trims. These seats are also heated and ventilated, and on this trim here, this is the only trim, the Reserve, to get massaging front seats. So again, that's a feature that you can't even get on the Toyota Sequoia. It's really nice to see Infiniti moving those luxury touches from, or Nissan moving those luxury touches from Infiniti over down to this vehicle. You can see the door panel has this really nice chestnut leather with the two-tone look with the contrast stitching. You have some fake wood grain accents. You have a 12-speaker clipped audio system, which is kind of similar to the Infiniti version, but it has less speakers. And then down here, there's a little bit of storage along with some harder touch materials, but you can see it makes a really great first impression. Now, stepping inside, it has a pretty easy step in height, although you will be utilizing that running board a lot to get in and out. It does have the ability to raise and lower the car. If I shut the door, you can hear it has a nice solid sounding thunk. And then in terms of the technology, this interior looks pretty similar to the Infiniti QX80, but it does have a couple of differences. Now, starting the vehicle up, you can hear that V6 has a nice smooth sound to it. It's got a new chime. And then this particular one that I'm showing you is the top of the line model. If you guys step it up to the Platinum and the Pro 4X, you'll actually get twin 14-inch displays. So you have a 14-inch display for the instrument panel and then a 14-inch display for the center stack. This has the latest Nissan Connect infotainment system with Google built in, which includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It has some of the tech features, of course, from Infiniti. I mean, this dash design looks pretty similar. I especially love the way it has contrast stitching and leather over the upper portion where it's soft touch here, really plush over here with the two-tone leather look to it. The center stack does look a little bit different because in the Infiniti, you have an actual display over here to control your climate and your massage seat. In the Nissan, you clearly don't have that. Instead, the company gave you toggles and hard buttons, which some of you may definitely prefer that. Here's your drive mode selector over here. It looks like there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, along with a downhill assist control function. For your drive mode selector, you can see the steering wheel has a power tilt and telescoping function. If you guys step it up to the SL trims and up, you'll get their Pro Pilot 2.1, a standard, which includes basically hands-free driving. Again, this is all technology that you couldn't even get on the previous generation. Now, in terms of this screen over here, this is kind of just a first look, but if you guys are wanting to see even more of an in-depth view of this infotainment software, be sure to watch my Infiniti QX80 video. You can see the software looks pretty similar. It's very quick and snappy and responsive. There's a dedicated home screen. You can also go into your apps display over here where you can adjust the interior lighting. There's also a dash camera that's built in. It also has the Google built in, of course. So I can say things like, okay, Google, find me the nearest Starbucks.
All right, there's a Starbucks 2.3 miles away. Navigate to that one?
No. Again, very, very quick in terms of responsiveness when you guys are trying to use the Google commands. So I think that's really an impressive feat. This is something that the old Armada really struggled with. Now, Nissan added a 12.3-inch display there, but again, it didn't have their newest software. If you guys don't have the Platinum trims and up in the Pro 4X, you'll actually have two 12.3-inch displays, which I think is still a pretty good size, especially if you guys are looking at or coming from the previous generation. Now down here you can see there's an integrated trailer brake controller. That's great if you guys plan to do some towing. I also really like how there are some buttons on the steering wheel here. Now they are touch sensitive buttons like for the volume, for example, the adaptive cruise, but I like the fact that it kind of gives you a nice little haptic feedback when you do use that. You can see down here you have a push button controller for the 9-speed automatic. If I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your full top-down 360 camera with moving object detection for cross-traffic braking. It also offers like a full see-through view if you guys want to do like a perimeter scan as well. That's something that we first saw on the Infiniti QX80, and you can see, love the fact that Nissan again offers you that additional view, which gives you even more of an ability to kind of scan around the vehicle. This is important, of course, if you guys are planning to park this vehicle in a tight parking area. It is still a relatively large car. It's about the size of a Chevy Tahoe on the outside. Now down here you can see the center stack looks pretty different versus its Infiniti counterpart. You have a wireless phone charging pad. There's a lid that closes up here that feels nice and sturdy. I like how Nissan reserved, or they didn't want to use too much piano black plastic here, although they did use it over here, which is going to show fingerprints and scratches. Your air suspension adjustment is down here. You've got a 4-wheel drive system here where you can adjust it from an automatic setting to a 4 high and of course a 4 low. That's something you don't get in the Infiniti QX80, so that's another reason to choose this over its luxury counterpart. You can see there's nice, beautiful leather stitching around this area here, padded area over here. If I open this up, you can see the glove box, or the center console is huge. It offers a pretty good amount of storage. What you can't get, however, is the refrigerator like you can in the Infiniti. There are a couple features, obviously, that Nissan has to save for its luxury division. I will say that these seats feel like they've been lifted directly out of a luxury car. I love the quilted leather, the contrast stitching. I love the two-tone look with the chestnut and the rye accents. It looks fantastic, especially with the red exterior color. There's an interior camera there to use, I guess, for selfies, like in the Infiniti version. If you flip that, you can see you have a digital camera, rearview mirror. That's included if you guys go for the Platinum trims. And then if you look over here, the glove compartment you can see is damped but not lined with felt. It's a pretty decent size. There's also a little bit of storage underneath here to kind of go with the storage that you find up here. So overall, the interior, this is again a really early pre-production model. I'm very impressed with what Nissan is offering here, especially on the top trim. But we'll show you guys a brief tour, of course, of the Pro 4X so you can see some of the differences. But for those of you who are looking for luxury and technology, this trim in particular is kind of showing you that you don't have to spend all the additional money to get the luxury badge, to get everything that you want. Now moving to the second row, you can see this Platinum Reserve that I'm showing you comes with these captain's chairs. Now you can get this vehicle with a bench seat, which you can also get in the lower trims. The Infiniti version also offers a bench as well, but the captain's chairs are nice, especially if you guys want to put full-size adults back here. You can also put a child seat here very nicely. In terms of the door panel materials, you can see they're the same high-quality leather with the stitching and the fake wood, along with the storage here, which is a nice touch. In terms of legroom space, we don't have the actual numbers just yet, but if you look at the QX80, it offers around 39.5 inches of legroom, which is a pretty good amount as well. And when I get back here and shut the door, you can see the space back here is plentiful. So if you guys are looking for a vehicle that can carry full-size adults back here, this is a car that you certainly should be looking at. The one thing I'm noticing is missing, however, is no manual retractable sunshades. That's something that I mentioned in the Infiniti version. I really think that they should offer that. You can see back here you have your own set of rear seat climate controls, which is great. It's a 3-zone climate control. You have 3-level heated seats, but you can see there's a missing button here because this car does not offer ventilated seats in the second row. The Infiniti version offers ventilated seats in the second row and heated seats along with massaging second row seats. So again, you have to pay a little bit more to get the fully loaded version of the QX80. You can see you have 2 USB-C charging ports, a power outlet there, and then if you look over here, you can see there's a center console with 2 more USB-C charging ports, so there's a total of 4 just back here. I also really like how this armrest is kind of nicely adjustable. You can also recline these seats. You can also slide the seats forward and back, which is kind of necessary to give yourself a little bit more space into the third row. And then as you can see here, there is a panoramic glass roof, which if you want, I'll go and open that up. You can see The sunroof is included as standard on the Platinum trims available on the Pro 4X. You can see it comes into the second row. This is a feature you couldn't even get in the previous generation, so it's kind of nice to see it finally available in this car. It's a feature that I think a lot of people are looking for. Now, in terms of the third row, I also want to show you guys the space to get back here. Now, you can see with the captain's chairs, Nissan gives you a nice little solution here where you can essentially keep a child seat latched here when you want to get into the third row, because it flips forward in a manner that allows the seat to be latched. Now, getting back into the third row, you can see once I'm back here, now we don't have the final legroom figures just yet, but the Infinity version, I keep mentioning that because, again, that's really the only thing I can talk about, offers around 32.9 inches. Now, that's a pretty decent amount. This is definitely more versus what you're going to get in the Toyota Sequoia. You can see you have a power recline function for the third row. There's a USB-C charging port here, cup holder, some hard touch materials over here, but you can sit 3 people across because this vehicle is around 83 inches wide. The seats back here are also covered in the same really comfortable, high quality and plush leather, which is nice. And then in terms of the headroom space, you can see at 5'7", my hair actually comes pretty close to this. Now, you can obviously recline this, which will give me a little bit more headroom space and a little bit more comfort as well. But it's kind of nice that they give you that recline function. But overall, if you guys are looking for, a vehicle like this third row space, it's pretty comparable to a lot of its competition, but it's definitely a little bit more space versus something like the Lexus LX600 or the Toyota Sequoia. Now, as I mentioned during the walk around for the Platinum Reserve trim, there's a new trim level this year called the Pro 4X. So as you can see, we switched over to the Pro 4X model. This is a new trim level for the Armada here in the US, and it kind of brings the capabilities of this car, or this truck, closer to, of course, the world market Nissan Patrol, because it's the first time we are getting a Pro 4X here in the Armada spec for the US car. You can see the front fascia is slightly different. You have a unique grille here with some gloss black accents, kind of like silver accents here on the upper portion of the grille. You have that orange outline for the Nissan logo, and just like the Platinum, it also has these full LED headlights with an LED daytime running light and turn signal, kind of like a stack design for the LEDs, along with this LED fog light. The front fascia in general also has a much higher approach angle, so this is going to give you better off-road capability. As you can see with the Pro 4X, you also get these tow hooks, which are very much buried deep here, along with this kind of aluminum look skid plate here. The actual skid plate is underneath here. Nissan says the Pro 4X model is going to come, of course, with the adaptive air suspension as standard. That allows you to kind of raise and lower the air suspension of this vehicle. Nissan says this model here will give you a maximum of 9.4 inches of, or 9.6 inches of total ground clearance. We don't know the ground clearance quite yet of the Platinum Reserve, but that's nearly 10 inches. It's certainly going to give this car, or this SUV, the more off-road capabilities that you're looking for. As you can see, looking around the side profile, the Pro 4X also comes with these gloss black 20-inch wheels. I actually really love the way the wheels look, especially with the orange outline for the Nissan logo. You can see, unlike the Sequoia, this does have an all-independent suspension with the air suspension. As I mentioned earlier, this is kind of with the suspension in its normal setting. The Pro 4X also includes kind of the unpainted wheel arch trim here. There are some, looks like non-functional vents over here, but it definitely adds a nice styling element to it. I also appreciate the gloss black for the mirrors, the integrated turn signals, cameras surrounding the vehicle as well. You can see above me there's also the availability of a panoramic sunroof, which is included if you guys go for the premium package. I also really like, again, the gloss black that you get for the integrated roof rails. There's also more orange accents here for the Armada logo that's also kind of showing that floating rear D-pillar design. We've seen that in other Nissan products before. And as you can see over at the rear, the design also has a similar look to the Platinum Reserve, but you can see it also has the LED light bar. I kind of thought that Nissan was only going to put that on the Platinum Reserve, but I'm assuming that perhaps they've done something with the light signature. It's a little bit different. I do really like the taillight design, of course, with the full LED, along with the orange accents here. The rear bumper, as you can see, also has some more gloss black accents. And overall, I definitely think this truck looks really good. I actually think it looks even better on the Pro 4X model here. This one here is painted in an alpine green metallic color. It's kind of, it looks a little silverish in this, like, or grayish silver in this non-sunlight area, but Nissan actually says this is a green exterior color. And I also want to briefly show you the interior. You can see the Pro 4X, I believe, is only going to come with a black leather interior. You can see it has some orange accents, contrast stitching. You can also get it, of course, with heated and ventilated seats, just like the Platinum Reserve, but no massaging seats. You still have 12-way power adjustment. You have the dual 14-inch displays, which is definitely a more upscale touch. Remember, this is the premium package, so it rolls in some couple of extras, including the panoramic sunroof, but all the Pro 4Xs will have the bigger display. I also want to show you guys in the second row really quick here, if you want to take a look here, you can see Unlike the Infiniti QX80, you can get this with a bench seat back here, which does increase the seating capacity to 8 people, which is something that you cannot get again in the Infiniti counterpart. I also really like the fact that the seats have the same kind of quilted leather with the contrast stitching. It certainly looks really nice. You even put the Pro 4X badging here on the actual head restraint in the second row, so you're kind of constantly reminded that you're driving the more off-road capable version of the Armada. So a brand new version of the Nissan Armada definitely doesn't come around very often. In fact, we've been seeing the second generation here in the US since 2017. And although it was technically, out earlier versus when we first saw the sixth generation Patrol in other markets back in 2010, when it came out, it already felt very old. So I have to say, after finally seeing the all new version of the Armada, Nissan has essentially pulled out all the stops here, and they really needed to, because as the flagship vehicle of the Nissan family, their SUV family, this has a very important role for Nissan. The company managed to sell a little over 21,000 units here in the States in 2023. It actually outsold the Toyota Sequoia, which isn't necessarily difficult to do, but I imagine when this new version goes on sale, which Nissan says it should be on sale by the end of this year, we don't have final pricing just yet, but since we have pricing of the old model, we can kind of speculate, because the current generation Armada starts at around $56,500. The new version of the Infiniti QX80 starts at around $82,000. So obviously there's a big price gap there in between the Nissan and the Infiniti. So I would estimate when this car goes on sale later this year, it's probably going to start considerably higher. I'd probably say it'll start in the low to mid $60,000 range. Again, that's my estimate. Remember, the base SV trim is also available with two-wheel drive. Nissan says you can basically get two-wheel drive on every version except for the Pro 4X that I'm showing you here. This only comes with four-wheel drive. Now, if I had to speculate, I'd say that this Pro 4X that we're showing here with the premium package is probably going to have a sticker price closer to $80,000. I would expect basically the Platinum Reserve version of the Armada that we showed you earlier to have a price that tops out basically where the Infiniti starts, which again would make the Armada a lot more expensive. One of the benefits about the old version being just old was it was a lot less expensive versus a lot of its rivals. Of course, with the new version, with the additional technology, the additional luxury, the additional capability, it's now going to be priced significantly higher, but I also would argue that it's an SUV that Nissan has needed for years. So I'm very much looking forward to getting my hands on this vehicle and driving one toward the end of the year as we get closer to that on sale date. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Nissan Armada in this Pro 4X trim. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.